Okay, I made a quick change to the file and I went ahead and uploaded it, and we got 100 created and there were 104 uploaded to the FTP server. So here's the question. How is it created 100 pages but it uploaded 104? And I'll explain that. In the folder itself, when it creates the pages, it gets them up, and when it's done, it has to create 4 files, and that's an index 2, a sitemap.html, and a sitemap.txt. The sitemap.txt is used for 2 different purposes that are both very, very useful. One is to upload to Google Webmasters in order to let Google Webmasters know you created new pages on your website, so it can be aware of that and it can index your pages faster because you're letting it know everything there just in case their robots would miss or not catch on to the links that you have. The other reason for the sitemap.txt is that you can ping that. So you can hit a pinging service and actually ping your website, and I'll show you that in a moment. But first, let me show you what we did. And the first thing I want to point out, MOWG-Affiliate.com, refresh to make sure we have the latest version. Sure enough, that's right, one of the variations wound up here. Now, since this is our content, our print, then it's not borrowed from somewhere else. So I am perfectly fine with using exactly our print on the first page, right? I want the first page to be the best that can be. So let me get rid of the index and rename the backup from index 2 to just simply index. There. That way the backup, which worked off the original row, is the original entries. And so if we refresh now, sure enough, that's our original page, our original content. That's what we expected it to be, and it's all good. And we do have our sitemap link down here. That goes to the sitemap.html page that we just pointed out is in the root now. There is now a sitemap.html page in the root. One of those pages is the main page of the website, so it's here in the root as well. All of these are clickable and lead to the page they present. Okay, so this is it. Look at all the URL worthwhile. If we took the time to do this with the right kind of keyword combinations in mind, first we create the pages using variables, and if we did keyword research, then we'd make sure to include the best keyword combinations in, or any keyword combinations that make sense. And then we get that wrapped into our folder structures so that they take advantage of the different keyword combinations, and we build our URLs off of it that way. Now this is pretty useful. All these things are great, all these pages are live, and this is good. The reason that we had the sitemap.html page is so that the Google bots can link to it. It can find these pages. That is, we need all of these pages that we created to connect to the main page somehow. That way, when the Google bots hit this website on the top level page, it is possible for them to reach any of these pages we created. That's absolutely important. It's even vital. Otherwise, our links are all orphaned. Now, every one of these pages has a sitemap link, so whichever page the bots find first, it will still find links to all the rest of the pages. That's wonderful. That way there are all these links to all these pages, and that's absolutely useful. Okay, now that's one thing. The other thing that I was talking about was this. If you go back to the main page, let's just do that, then there is such a thing as a sitemap.txt. And with that, for instance, you can take all of these links and ping them. Let me give you an example of how to do that. Um, and I could do it from here, or I could do it from my file that I have on my computer. But I could take this and copy it. And I could go to, and I know this has a horrible name, but it still works, pingfarm.com. Silly name. But you just paste in your simple URL based sitemap where they're not clickable links, they're just regular links, one per line, and that's exactly what I did. And so when I hit mass ping, guess what it's going to do now? It's going to go through and it's going to take that whole list and it's going to ping all of them. Now, it's possible for some of these pages to show up for different keywords in 2 hours. Literally, it can do that. There were 101 total pings sent that covered the 101 links that we had there, I guess. So if you include, it's 100 that we generated plus the index page. So we just created a bunch of backlinks on major directories, a number of them. And those backlinks on the major directories now have links to every one of these pages or has reference to every one of these pages. And that just helps us jumpstart our listings. See, that way when Google goes, as a matter of fact, maybe it's just easiest if I refresh. Oh, it's probably going to re-ping. I don't want it to do that. I just want it to come here. Control A and delete. What do I want to say? There are a number of services here: weblogs.com, Syndicate, PubSub, Weblogalot, Topic Exchange, and so on that are all checkmarked. I don't know why these two would not be. But these are all checkmarked. And what it means is that my web pages are made visible to all of these. And the reason, of course, for that is so that when the Google bots go through any of these other places, which they go through all the time, these are websites that already have a huge footing out there and Google just combs through them a lot, then they'll see links to my site on various sources, and that just makes my site worth more really fast. It also means that my pages could get indexed really fast. Okay, at least a number of them. So this is part of what you do to make sure your services get noticed. You could go further. You could log into your google.com webmaster account, which we explain in a different video in the resources. And you can upload your sitemaps there, and that way you can actually track on Google how you're coming. But another way to track on Google how you're coming is simply to go to google.com, and do your site check, right? Push this site hard at all. We're just doing some different sorts of basic testing with it. But it's all this stuff that we just showed you that makes things like, virtual home businesses huge with 1,700 web pages, or makes things like smallbusinesses.com or even the info about, which is funny because theinfoabout.com, of all things, has virtually 39,000 web pages. By the way, these numbers rise and fall in real time to some degree, for those who are wondering, and that's because the bots always recache. The bots keep coming through these pages, and every time it does, it has to drop old copies while it's assessing the new ones and then putting the new ones up into the index. And so you see these numbers just go up and down a little bit all the time. And on very large websites with a few million web pages or 12 million, you can literally see 50,000 or 100,000 pages get dropped and recached just simply by hitting the refresh button enough. You'll just see it happen because it'll always round it out. It won't just show you the latest number, it always rounds it to something. But you'll see the number drop and rise as it's rounded out, but across lots and lots of pages at one time. And so things like this are extremely interesting, and this is the sort of thing that we do. And this is the way that it's done, and done easily. And this is how you make sure that you get all your web pages connected to your website somehow. That's why we put a sitemap link in there to have that happen. Okay, so you understand what's going on there. So then I'm going to continue with the next topic, and we'll talk about some more things that we can do real quick with the CSV file, which is really important and interesting. Okay?